anyway. So one of the things that I did EDR, so I'm just going to go to the unusual options activity page here, because if you've got something you may watch this, you see EDR here. I put that on my watch list when I made the training video a little while ago, and I talked about we had the unusual options activity Confluence with the xBrat algo 6-star buy for the run up into earnings. So what happened is exactly what it should do, and it went and tested that completion zone on the harmonics, like I said, a little short. I think the high was 24.81 and we had a $25 target, but it was very, very close. And we were going to enter around 23.42. So that was a good trade. And one of the things that it was only a 5 or 6 day trade, because we got that confluence on a certain day. And then obviously we had those expiries on the 17th. So they were just looking for a run up into earnings. And that's what happened. So it's a great example that some of these are short-term swings that we get. And again, most likely, if the options expiry is set, for example, in this one, the 17th of November, that's what, if people are going to be trading options, that's what should be trading anyway. Hopefully that sort of expiration. So that's good. We see also on the left here, we've got CCL, that is in green. So if we've got that on our watch list, for example, and we get a couple that have gone green in there, it just highlights the stock in green. So we can actually leave that now. And to be honest, it will be on the filter. So we're going to have a look at that in a minute. But just to be aware that, you know, like TTD, for example, it's red. So there's a couple of confluences with red there, but that's already on our main watch list. So I think it's very, very powerful. So let's go to the filters. Now, one thing I want to discuss as well is the conflicting confluences. I mentioned that in that first training, and this is very important, that most likely we stay clear of this, but sometimes to try and understand what's going off is important, because there still may be a trade. And CCL is a prime example in that we've got green on the xBrat algo, we've got green on the insider activity, we've got red on the unusual options activity. So I want to see the outlier first, the red. So if I double click on the red, CCL, let's have a look at the options down here to begin with. We have, they're quite far out, 15th of December. We had a few that have gone at the 3rd of November for $12.50. And then we've got others at $10 and $12 for strike, and the strike price 10, 12.5. So it progresses down, you know, that we're looking for that sort of $10, $12 price. The only problem is with a stock like this, to short it, they may not even be available. So just, you know, got to be aware on that. So if we go to look at it here, for example, are we really going to go short at this point? We're coming up to major resistance here. If it breaks through here, it's probably going to go long. So these shorts, we've got earnings coming up 20th of December. They're looking for a run down into earnings, but at this moment in time, it looks too strong. And this is where we get that conflict of confluences there, which we want to ignore. How you doing, Matt?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. So what we recorded this first bit anyway, so we're just gonna go back over the CCL, because this was the first point really that I wanted to make of when we've got conflicting confluences. So we've got two greens and we've got a red. So imagine confluences like a river. The more tributaries that connect to the river, the faster the flow. But if all of a sudden we put a dam on the river, it will change direction. And that damming, really is that conflict of confluences, because something's pushing against the flow. So in this case, we would probably look to ignore those, because we only want to go for the high probability and the safe ones, really. And that's very, very important. And everyone presents a different type of trading opportunity, whether that's a short-term swing, 4 or 5 days into earnings, like some of the examples I've done on the recent videos, or maybe longer term. So we got to understand some of those support and resistance zones and that lot. So we're going to look through. So we've gone through those conflicting confluences, and we just want to, once you get more advanced, you may want to look at those and start asking those questions. But now just go for the easy ones. So we've got CSGP, we've got 2 greens here. So we're going to go to the unusual options activity first, and I'm going to look at this activity here. So we're looking for a strike price, a target price of $75 by the middle of January. That's quite a long way out. Okay. Now, sometimes we say it's printed signal, but this might actually come today. So the scanner scans overnight, looks at the criteria, and sometimes it won't print on the chart, but it's going to happen. Yeah. So sometimes it's a little early, but this is the whole part of this. So what I want to do is go through all 4 charts to begin with and see, where we are. So in reality, we've got that xBrat algo signal. So I'm going to go to the daily, because that's where the signals are. And we need to see, it's not really, it's got a $75 target price. It's already blown through that. So it was an earnings play. Yeah, the options were. It's reached $75. We really have to consider this $84 pivot here and this 82.63 as our resistance. Okay, and this really is not a trade for me. Okay, purely because the bias depth heat maps almost all green. We've already reached that strike price early, and they would have all taken their profits anyway. We then go closer, moving up here with the manager. The candles were grey, 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 green, grey. So this is running out of juice. So this is like getting to the top of a roller coaster where we're getting slightly higher highs, slightly higher lows, and the volume's running out. So it's just running out of juice, and it probably most likely come back down again. So we discount this one. Okay, and the thing is to look for reasons not to take the trades. Okay, so our job is to go through here and literally discount them, look for reasons not to take the trade. So CSGP, there's a reason not to take the trade because it's already reached that strike price. So the next one, CUK, is quite interesting. This time we've got a green on the insider activity and a green on the xBrat algo. So double click on insider activity. And okay, so with insider activity, we need to understand roughly the behavior of these people selling. Okay, so in this case here, they purchased stocks, the same person. Okay, and in reality, they spent within 10 days, 6 million. Okay. This person owns 10% or more of the stock already. They've just purchased more. Okay, they're quite bullish. They think this thing's got some legs now. They're starting to invest a bit of their own money. Some of the things that it is good to do, if we bring the SEC form up here, we can actually click on his name. And we can see his history of purchases and of selling and everything like that. And if we wanted to, we can go in to see if there's a pattern. Is there a pattern of buying just after earnings when we get good earnings? Is there a pattern of selling just before earnings? And we can do that research from these dates. And even if we click on sort of in the middle of June here, it opens up the SEC form there, so we can see buy or sell. We can see how many shares, how much money, blah, 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 and all that sort of thing. So we can start to build that picture. The main thing is we had the confluence, okay? We have the confluence of that xBrat algo. And now we're going to look on the charts to see, is there room for this to run, okay? Where's the next major resistance? We're at there right now, 1134, okay? Again, this chart's not showing the xBrat algo signal because the scanner has done it in advance. It's literally, there's 12 points of control for xBrat algo for 6 stars, 11 out of 12 for 5 stars. Now, the scanner is run on a server. The server has nothing to do with TradingView, okay? So it has a slightly different data source, but in reality, most of the time I've seen this, it's in advance. So we will see an xBrat algo signal print today or tomorrow. So it's in advance. The next thing for us to say is, when's earnings next? 20th of December. We've got a long way out here. This guy's just bought a lot of shares. He's confident in the stock price going up, otherwise he wouldn't buy them at the end of the day. We're at that resistance right now from that pivot on that back pattern. There is some fresh air, probably. I mean, these are very small pivots, okay? There is a long pivot, a big pivot here and here, but I really don't think that accounts. We've probably got one shoulder here, maybe head and shoulders, but it's very, very close. But in reality, 1483 would be an initial target, okay? Now, entry for this, in reality, would be above these sort of highs. So 1171, something like that, to purchase that with an initial target of around, bear with me a second, of an initial target of that 1483, where we got this sort of shelf, if you like. It's part of that head and shoulders with this pivot as well. So there's quite a lot of what we call fresh air there. Now, at this moment in time, the charts are view only. Now, the issue for me is I have intellectual property on these charts. And if we were to give you full access, people would be able to copy the code and sell it, okay? And this is intellectual property. So I've got another meeting with the developer later today, around about 8 p.m. my time, something like that, to look at other versions of TradingView. And I'm going to trial it first, and we will see if we can actually get drawing facilities on there. The thing that we don't and we will not do is put a different version on there that allows people to see the code for our intellectual property. That just will not happen. But in reality, everything's on the chart that should be on the chart on the settings that are on the chart because I've set them up, okay? And these are the complements we should be looking for. So in reality, you know, we should be looking for an 1171 entry today, so like a stop market order, probably 10 shares, 20 shares, 100 shares, whatever you want to do, with a realistic target of around about 1473. But the thing is with this is if you're buying physical shares, there probably won't be a good options change for this because it's too small. But if you're buying physical shares in something like this, that's you know, 1177 to 1473, that's a good return, okay? And you could always put a trailing stop quite tight on there. Especially going into earnings, we want to be out before earnings with this type of trade. So that's Carnival. Okay, I just want to go on Carnival on the xBrat algo scanner. Yeah, so what we've done also recently, and hopefully you've restarted today, you will see now these are high Kanashi charts because they're more accurate with the xBrat algo. So as you can see here, Carnival was a very good buy on that 6-star buy at this point here and had a really good run up. The 5 and 6-star sales were good trades as well. But what we're looking for on this particular session that we're doing is looking at the confluences and looking to try and weed out those and filter out those sort of trades. So Caesar is next. Okay, so Caesar, we got xBrat algo, and we've got unusual options activity. So this really interests me because, and I'll tell you in a minute. So we've got a strike price of $43. Okay, it's beyond that now. Okay, those were put on the 11th. Sorry, 2nd of the 11th. We got one at strike price of 43, one at strike price of $50. The one at $50 interests me. 17th, 11th, we're already there. Okay, we're pretty close to that sort of day, and we've gone past 43. But there was a similar amount of volume here for a $50 for March next year. So institutional traders, and I can tell you now, when we go to the chart, I've seen a lot of things here. So Caesar looks pretty good. I just want to just open up this a little bit here, because we have on the Caesar here, we have a 26.68 victory rate. So a victory rate, anything over 10 is really good. Okay, so there's a victory rate here of 26.68. This is very, very good. So again, a lot of things stacking up here. So let's now go to that daily chart to begin with. Remember, this will print that xBrat algo today or tomorrow. This scans a little early in some cases. So the main thing for me at the moment, and this is why you don't really need to play with the chart, this crab pattern, which is an extremely difficult pattern to complete, as completed in that automated completion zone in or around earnings. This is a massive confluence. Then we've got that unusual options activity. Now we're getting those xBrat algo signals. Okay, we have a $50 strike price, which is on this sort of resistance zone here from, this is 51.75 down to around 50.70, 50.63, something like that. We look further left, 49.70. So we have a sensible price in which this should go. So institutional traders would have seen this particular pattern. Okay, this is a very strong trend reversal pattern. It's completed in or around earnings. Earnings has been good. It's reacted. It's started to move away. Options strike price of $50 seems sensible to me. It could fly higher, but it seems like a good, sensible price for options traders. Going out to next March as well, so they're probably pretty cheap, I would guess, Vic. At that sort of expiry. So that's a good trade whether you're trading stocks or options. Entry for this has to be above the high of yesterday in around about 45.19. Again, stock market order. We're starting to go a lot more bullish on the bias depth heat map here. We've just had earnings. We've had the earnings reaction, and those confluences at play there, both technically and fundamentally, are very, very strong. So this is a good looking trade, okay, and with a $50 sort of target to begin with. So if you're trading options, you've got a $50 strike price, that's all you can do. But if you are trading, in my case, it would be CFDs, contracts for difference, or physical stock. You have the option then to hold further if the momentum continues through there. So just for one thing while we're on here, Vic is literally one of my ex-apprentices. He's one of my brand ambassadors and a very experienced trader, both options, stocks and futures, and all of my software. So he will be running the team in Teams for the Stocks Predator. You should have had an invite to join Vic's team. If not, please get in touch with Damien and he will sort that invite out. So the idea is that if you've got on an example like this, you would say, Vic, okay, the options, what does the options chain look like? Does the expiry with the strike price at $50 look okay for that mid-March? Are they the cheapest or the best types of options? How would I play this in options? And he would give you some advice on that. If you've got some technical analysis type questions as well, please share that in there, because I will always be there as well to give you that support. So let's go back to the scanner. So I like Caesar a lot. Let's go back to the filters. Let's go down a little bit more. Let's go down to Oracle now. Otherwise, we'll be spending all day here. So Oracle, again, we've got xBrat algo and we've got unusual options activity. Okay, so it resets the chart sets. Oh, I just want to go back. Sorry, I forgot. I want to go back to Caesar a second. I'm just going to put that on my, so down here, I'm just going to type Caesar in and I'm going to add it to my thing. So again, on your main watch list on the left there, you'll see Caesar's in green because that's got Confluence. You'll see TTD is in red. That's got Confluence. Okay. Just want to go back to Caesar a second because I did notice on the 4-hour chart we got Confluence, the roller coaster. So again, this is sort of precludes. Here we go. The daily. So what we have on the 4-hour, we did have a roller coaster here, but it didn't trigger. Look. That was the signal day, and then it came down. What we do have now is we have this move up. We've got that roller coaster signal on the 4-hour. If this continues to move up, you'll see that continue move, and that will help us manage the trade. Just wanted to show you on a different time frame, different type of strategy. We do have a long signal as well that's coming up. So let's go back to where we were with Oracle. Okay, so now this is extremely interesting for me. So let's look at the options first and the expiries and everything like that. So okay, so some of them have already expired at $100 and $105 here. That's $90. Where's the price at right now? $110. So these were done. There's a date, 13th, 20th of October, 20th of October, 13th of October. So again, what the unusual options activity scanner scans the last 30 days. This is important because sometimes that's the catalyst, one of the large factors that starts the move. Okay, it's not net. On some of the examples I've done in the videos, it's a play into earnings, yeah, and it's a 5-10 day play into earnings. That's a different type of trade. With this one, we can see that the catalyst for this bullish move right now was indeed those unusual options activity. Okay, so now we've got to see where those confluences are technically, and there's a lot of them. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to go to the intraday, the 30-minute. How the 30-minute finished yesterday is very, very strong for me. So I'm just going to go and look. So this is the VWAP Predator. So we're all green on the bias depth heat map. And we can see that this candle and the last 30 minutes was a buy signal there. So in reality today, it's gapping down a bit pre-market. It's too early to really get some volume in there. We would be looking for a long, probably through sort of 112.65 or something like that. You can see the pattern that's forming here. We're getting buy signals towards the end of every day, and this bullish move is still going. So intraday, very strong bullish. Okay. We now go to the 4-hour. And we can see there was a signal here on the first to go long on the roller coaster, and it's already in there. So now, as we progress with this, next year we start to build more scanners on that Confluence Meter intraday on the 4-hour, for example. On the 1st of November, there would have been a roller coaster green light. There would have been a green light from the unusual options activity, and that will allow us to get in even earlier. Okay, but you've got to understand that it's taken 6 months to develop what we've got. The scanners are not easy to run on the servers. It takes a lot of work. We've got to where we are now. We're going to launch this under subscription as the basic model, but you guys, you're the beta testers. When we start to build those additional elements, you will still get access to those. So just wanted to show you that actually once we run in the roller coaster scanner, we will be able to, and we'll run that on 4 hours. we will be able to get into these trades a little earlier if we get the confluence. Okay, so now we go to the daily, and we can see we've got the 5 and the 6 star buy signal here. Previous activity, we had a run up to this previous high at 127.58 with this 4 and 6 star, and then we came back down to test support. We had earnings. It's had a little bit of a cull since earnings, but then we've seen some activity in the options market to say, actually, this is pretty good value. Let's go for it, sort of thing. We can see here below we had a back pattern that completed the automated completion zone, which is a really good long run up, and that's where we found that high. We got that double top. It's come back down, seems to have failed this momentum to come back down. We've got reasonably good support with clustering there. If we just go left a little bit, because we probably got, yeah, so again, one of the things you need to understand with behavior is seeing these harmonic patterns complete and reactions after them. So in the last 2 years, we've only had 2 harmonic patterns, but they've both completed in the automated completion zone, and the resulting trade has been massive. So if this is one that you're going to put on your watch list because it behaves extremely well, we're getting good xBrat algo signals, we get some good options activity on here, we also get some good harmonics, this is one you should have on there. And again, next year when we build those more scanners, we will build the harmonic scanners. So when price action actually enters into that D pivot on a particular stock, we will be able to identify that with the scans. So with this one, Oracle, for example, we obviously have to have a target price into this double top. Okay, I would also err on the side of caution and probably look at a $124 sort of target, 124 to 128. So if you're looking for options, Vic and other people, you would probably look out to probably January, depending on what the best value is, January or February, with a strike price between 124 to 128. It gives you some options to look there. And again, what we would look for an entry here is very important. This low pivot here has been broken, okay, from this double top. So I would go pretty aggressive here, 113.15 entry. So if you're trading option, you've got to look for the options trade, the contracts and all that. Once the price moves through 113.15, you put your options trade on. Okay, if you're trading like I do, CFDs or physical stocks, you're just going to put stop market order on. When it moves through there, it takes it a market order. It doesn't move that fast, so it'll be pretty easy to do. But that looks good to that sort of price. Momentum's building, and again, we can see here 5-star buy, 6-star buy. We're seeing increase in volume, higher than average volume yesterday. We did get another one there, which was the start of that move. So this volume's pretty good. We're through this pivot here. So an entry above sort of 113.15 would be very sensible there. Any questions on this one, by the way, guys? Because this is quite a good example.
Just more of a, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Just more of a simple technical question. How do I switch between like when I'm seeing the main screen there, then get to get back to the 4?
So you see at the bottom here, if I hover down, you got the minus, the plus.
Oh, yep.
And you see this one here, it restores the chart and it goes to all 4.
Restore.
I'll do that again. So when you hover near the bottom of the chart, you've got minus, plus, then you've got these arrows. You click on that, it makes it go big.
Oh,
the same down at the bottom there. Have you got that or not?
No, I haven't got that. I've got scroll to the left. I've got zoom and plus, but I haven't got that unless. No, I haven't. I haven't got that. That.
Right. Have you logged into your TradingView account?
Yeah, make sure it's the right one.
because I'm logged into my TradingView account, and obviously that would dictate whether you can move charts or not.
Yeah, okay, I'll just make sure it's with the right trading group.
Yeah.
I'll try that. Okay, thanks.
Okay. So let's go back to, I want to redress EDR as well, because I did that, in the training video that I made about 5 days ago, and I use this as an example because we had the unusual options activity with a target price of $25. That $25 was in this previous completion zone for this back pattern here, and we had the 6-star buy signal at this point, and we said this was the trade into earnings, and that's what it did. It got a little low, 24.76, 24.80, and we remember we said the entry price was around about 23 something, but it was the trade. And again, it does what it says on the tin, and that's those shorter time ones. So we did an example on TTD recently as well, where we had the short, going into earnings. You remember the short was at this point down here somewhere, and we said the target was into that completion zone just before earnings, and it hit. It was $65 strike price, and it hit. Those are, there could be anything between 5 and 10 day type trades. They're what we call short-term swings, but very, very powerful. You may get one of them a week. I've not seen any today. The ones we've seen today on the filter have all been longer term, so we'll go through a few more. And one of the things to always, and NBLY, insider activity, I'm going to look at that one. And again, when we've got those contrasting confluences, we just stay clear until we get more, I would say, experienced with this type of trading. So now we've got when were these purchases? 2nd of the 11th, 2 different people. Actually, that's the same person as that other stock, actually. Okay, that's owner increase 2. Owner increase 55, so he's not spent a great deal of money, $100,000 million. We have the xBrat algo. Again, the scanner's been early, it's got it early. How much buying is, so I just want to go to the guy here, McCaskill, where she's not bought a lot. She's very new, so she's a new investor, and she's holding it will only come on our scanner if she holds over 10%. So she's new, she's new. She believes in this stock, or has she been given the stock in? She's a director, so has she been given? Is she taking stock options and things like that? This Patrick. So the one thing is there was no sales here, so she wasn't given any from anywhere else. She's purchased. She's probably maybe stock options. So I just want to go to this guy. Only purchased a couple though. Patrick. He has been adding a lot. So we can look at his history here. I don't know why that's gone like that, but there we go. 2015, 2009, 2007. He's been slowly adding to his portfolio of shares. This guy, is a long-term investor, also a director as well. Let me just go. Right, so we will have that xBrat algo clicking on very soon, and we do have on the 4-hour, we had on the 2nd of November, we had a long signal on the roller coaster. Nothing really happening on here. It's a relatively new stock, so when you zoom out on here, it was first listed in October 2022. It's not a bad price. It's stabilized. We do have really good support around $34 here. Support and resistance, really. So the next real resistance is around 41.80. So I'm going to look at that daily chart here. But we can see that support, obvious, very obvious on the daily. The low here is 33.19 and we're around about 34.29. It's a really big support zone. And one of the things we always like is if we get that confluence of bouncing off support on earnings. Now we've got that insider activity, which has alerted us to that somebody within the organization still feels confident in that particular stock. Are we going to buy it? It's a bit scrappy right now. This is purely because there's a lack of volume. But in reality, we pre-market, don't take too much notice of that, a stock like this, because the volume's not very good. But I'll be on the safe side, and I'm conservative here. 38.20 entry with a $42 target price is reasonably sensible for this, because we know, yes, we are buying it a little bit above where that major support is, but we've had the catalyst of the earnings to start pushing that up now. Obviously, the earnings have settled down a little bit. First lot of earnings we sent up, we pulled back. Higher support, another lot of earnings sent it up to get to the highs. We had a massive reaction here on earnings. Again, that was probably a miss. But then when traders looked at the forecast a little bit more, it pushed it up to test those highs again. This recent earnings, we had a sell-off, but it found support at that magical $34. Leading into earnings, we had a pullback into earnings and it found support at $34. Okay, we can start to see massive confluences here. Now we're getting those signals. So caution here, but it looks pretty good to me. Okay.
Interesting
Yeah,
there, Paul. That insider that was in there, Claire McCaskill, was a former U.S. senator.
Ah, there you go. I think it's a good thing. So this type of reporting actually doesn't happen all around the world, believe it or not. So one of the biggest things that we can do is aggregate the data of the rules that are in the US for these US stocks, and that's really, really important. Hi, Jeffrey. So I'm just gonna, okay. Hi, Jeffrey. Can you hear me okay? Okay. So we have been going a while, Jeffrey, but it is recorded and I'll be sending the recording out. Okay. Right. So let's go back to the scanner. I want to go, we haven't looked at a short yet. So I'm going to look at PXD here. Unusual options activity. Okay. So PXD, let's have a look first of all what that unusual options activity is. We've got 11th of October, so that's coming up to the limit of the 30 days for the scan. So that was probably the catalyst that brought that down. Okay, 237 strike price, we're already through that. So what we can glean from this is that's quite a lot of volume as well. This was the catalyst that started to move down. Okay, but now we're getting some technical signals to say, hey, this is, this is looking like it's going to move down. I'm going to go intraday first because this, for me, again, when we looked at those, why I've put the xBrat Predator on here is I like to see these xBrat Predator signals in the last 30 minutes of the day. Okay, usually we get quite a big reaction or a continuation. Look at this previous day, sell. Look at the gap down there. Today yesterday we had that sell signal there. So what we're looking for is we've had an xBrat algo short signal, and again I'm just going to go to the xBrat algo scanner from here just to see if it's in there yet, because the scanner works off a slightly different data source, okay, than TradingView. And it runs off our scanner. So it might pick up those points of control crossing a day early, or sometimes exactly the same day. So it's not actually on the chart yet, but it's met the criteria for the scan for those same points of control. And again, those datas make slight little, you can imagine 12 points of control, and they've all got to be all interlinked, and a different data source might have one slightly the other side of the other, but if the momentum continues, that will just go. So that's an issue, that we can't use the data that we've got on TradingView to run those scans, because they're very complex scans. So we'll go back to the unusual options activity on Pioneer, and we'll go to the daily time frame. Okay, so right now we have a very choppy stock. Okay, very, very choppy stock. We've got some major support here with this A pivot at, say, $200. That's not unusual. Stock price comes down to a whole dollar mark, like $200. It's, a lot of people will just buy and bounce. So we got, from 200 to probably 206 as major support here. We just have had earnings. We see now, so localized support, really, we've got here at 213, 217. This would not be a trade for me. The options will be good on this, won't they, Vic, with this sort of stock price?
Yeah, you're going to either have good options depending on the implied volatility, or if it's range bound, you could do neutral trades on options like iron condors and things.
Yeah.
Which I'll get into. I created a channel to talk about different types of trades based on what you're seeing. So that'll be coming up shortly. Yeah,
excellent. So again, for Jeffrey, Vic is one of my training team. He's been on my apprenticeship. He's had our software for 7 years or so. He's a brand ambassador, so he will be running the team for support for the automated strategy builders, but also the stocks predator, a very experienced stocks trader and options trader. So what he will do is try and demystify if somebody wants to trade the signals from here with options, plus also give his comments and learning on the whole type of strategy. But again, here, as far as physical stocks is concerned, this wouldn't really be a trade for me. We're at an inflection point here with this pivot. I think for me, I would like to see it print on the chart. So I'd probably, this is one that you would probably put on your watch list, if you like. So it was, what was the ticker symbol again? PXD. So I can right click on there, add that to the watch list. So what I want to do is, if there's something like this and the xBrat algo signal hasn't printed, I'm a little bit worried about this inflection point here, this big pivot. There is a lot of room down to $200 to this support, but I just want to make sure. So I want to see how today closes. Yeah, when you're swing trading stocks, it's not stressful. You need to wait for the day to close and then you can make a decision. Okay, it is the least stressful type of trading in the world. You have a whole candle, which is a whole day. It has an open, a close, a high, and a low. You put all those together, patterns form, confluences form, and it's a lot easier to trade. So with this one particular one, I would just put this on my watch list for now. Okay, so let's go back to another. We've got no more shorts, I don't think. No. So we've got some conflicts here, but I'm just going to go to triple R for the last one on the ones with confluences to have a quick look. Okay, just had earnings actually, yeah. So triple R, okay. $40 strike price. Wow, 19th of April. The expiration's a long way out. Okay, volume isn't fantastic, but it's still unusual. It's 2,421. triple R. 1.04 is the victory rate. So for me, that's not a trade. One of the things to do is go right, have a look here. Again, we've had those victory rates. Anything over 10 is pretty good. That other one that we looked at was 26 or something, so it's really good. So this one is on the positive side, so it's more likely than not to succeed. Where, you know, for example, we see minus 29 there. That's something we just wouldn't trade. But the victory rate is on the right side of zero. But for me, anything over 10% is probably better. So, you know, the strike price was what price again? $40. You know, we've just gone through that already. We had a good signal on the VWAP Predator yesterday. You know, one of the short-term plays could be if this gaps up from that yesterday and goes through 43.38, there could be a short-term play there for sure, because there is a lot of room up to $45 there. So that could be a short-term play, but again, we're trying to reduce risk here. The Confluences have made a look at it, but we've got too much in play that works against us for this particular trade. So we're just gonna not bother, because the filters will tell us the way to go. So today we've had Caesar, which was a really good play, and we've had Oracle, which is a really good play. And now I want to look at that conflict of Confluences one more time. So Square, we've got an xBrat algo signal that's saying go long, but we've got unusual options activity that's saying go short. Once you get more advanced with this, you can understand what's going on in each one and look at that sort of behavior. So first of all, I'm going to look at the unusual options activity on Square. Wow, a lot. But they all run out just now. Okay, 3rd of the 11th, 10th of the 11th, with strike prices of $50. Okay. These were put on 11th of the 3rd, and earnings was 3rd of the 11th, and earnings was on 2nd. This was a punt. This was a punt that this. So these were selling puts, weren't they, Vic? Because all the strike prices
they were either buying puts or they could be selling the puts. If you look at the IV percentage in the top, you know, if it's really high for Square, like you see up on the top part, there's Square on the green side and on the red. And if you look at the IV on the green squares up there, they're super, super high, which means they're overvalued. So people are going to be buying puts rather than. So this should be an indication that it's going to go down.
Yeah.
The implied volatility is too high on the calls.
Yeah. Wow, 102 there.
Yeah, they should be. If you're going to buy calls, you want to start out in the 20s, not in the hundreds and stuff. So
yeah. So this is quite interesting, actually. So this is why we've got that conflict going off here, because there's conflict in the options chains as well, and this really is something to stay away from, because we're going to get, earlier we did have some good roller coaster trades here. Look, Square is very good. We had 6-star sells. We got roller coasters, and now there's a roller coaster going up. There was a signal just after earnings, just as before it gapped up on this candle here. So the trade has already gone for me. What we would look for in reality is putting that on our watch list, because what I'd like, and you see it's yellow, that means there's a conflict. Okay, so we can see Tesla's got a conflict at the moment, so has PRGO. But if that changes like Caesar did to green or to red like PXD, then it sort of comes back. So Square is quite tradable, and at this moment there's this massive conflict with our Confluence Meter, but also in the options market. So right now we need to allow institutional traders to move the train away from the station in the direction it's going to go. As retail traders, it's our job to jump on the train before it leaves the station and get off before it leaves the last station on the route. Okay, so right now there are opposing forces. There's opposing confluences, and we've got two train engines trying to push against each other. One will win, and if we get that confluence in either direction, there's no conflict, then there will be a trade. But right now, it just goes on the watch list. Okay. So let's go back to the filters a second. No, that's all there is. So I'm just going to we've gone through the list. We found Caesar and Oracle to be the ones that are good. We've actually looked for reasons not to trade the others. Okay, and we've gone through that. It's worth going back over the recording just to see there. So our job, so the Confluence Meter and all the scanners have scanned 8,000 stocks, and then it's given you a handful of stocks to look at. It's now your job to find the cream of the crop and discount the majority of them. Okay, if you're going to have stocks trades on, for example, I never had any more than between 13 and 17 open stock positions, okay, at any one time. That was a large account. If you've got a smaller account and you're still doing smaller sizes and you're actually trading options, you still should have no more than 10 to 13 positions open, because you're going to expose yourself to a lot of risk if we get a major sort of incident in the world that will affect stocks. Okay, so just be careful not to overexpose yourself, and see this as an exercise that the technology's done most of the work and filtered out a load of crap. There's still a little bit of crap you still need to filter out, even though we had some good confluences. In some cases we've got opposing confluences, so we can get rid of those already, but they might go on the watch list because they look interesting. And then we've seen that Caesar and Oracle are the ones today that we will most likely look to trade. Okay, some days there won't be any, and that's good. The idea is not to overtrade. The idea is to find the good trades. EDR again was one of those ones. So we just go here. Back to EDR just to remind ourselves. So this is the one I did in that training video. We had the 6-star buy. We had the unusual options activity, the strike price $25. When this was an obvious run into earnings, it just tipped just below $25. Okay, and we said this was the area in which it would find resistance, and it did yesterday. Okay, and then we look at TTD recently. Short-term plays, but very good. TTD, again, we remind ourselves that we had the confluence in and around this sort of price, and the play was into earnings, and it hit the strike price of $65 just before earnings, so there was a good trade there. Then we see now that just before earnings, the D pivot completed, start to move away. Now we're getting a 5-star buy signal, but when we look at it on our here, we're still conflicting with other sells. So at the moment there's still conflict. What could happen? We've got earnings coming up today. Okay, this earnings could be the catalyst for then confluences to come back to green, and we could be looking for another trading opportunity. For me, what I used to do for a living is that I would sell. Even if I was holding TTD, I would sell using a different account with CFDs, contracts for difference. I would make the profit on the shorts. Then when I got the confluences giving me a good signal to buy, I would then use that profit to buy the shares in that particular stock. And that's what I've done for years. Okay, that's what I do with Microsoft. That's what I do with Visa. That's what I do with Apple and RCL and a few other bits and bobs. So that's the way to do it. So short to fund the investment pot. Okay, but we'll do more of that as time goes by. So I've gone through quite a bit today. We've been on for an hour. Let's just see. Have you got, obviously, Matthew asked a good question and hopefully we've resolved that. Have anybody got any questions for me? We're going to try and do these, or probably try and do another one beginning of December, and then we'll do another one after the new year. But I still make those training videos anyway.
Yeah, I am logged in on my trading. I've got the essentials pack for trade. So it is giving me 4 screens sometimes, but then it flicks out to one. So I think I'm just having some technical issues. So I'll just contact the dev guy again that you send me his number and just tell him what they are. And
Yeah.
I think remember we had problems with me logging in on the new computer.
Yeah.
So, some weird things with the xBrat algo too. Like I'm not getting the harmonic patterns or the Shrenko pattern or whatever is the thing going through the middle. I get the buy signals, but not the harmonic pattern. So I'll just contact the guys.
Yeah, contact Constantine, so he may be able to help with that. A lot of it's obviously I've got a premium account. Okay.
Yeah.
So with you, if you've got a free account with TradingView, you're only allowed, I think it's 2 indicators or maybe 3.
I think it's 5 on the one I've got. This I think it's
Is it 5?
Pack. Yeah, but I can get 4 windows going on it. Like like when it initially comes up, I can get 4 windows, but I'm just not. I'm having a problem switching. I don't have that button down the bottom, so I can get 4 sometimes, but I'm also not getting the bias depth heat map for some reason. So I'll just send them some screenshots and see what they say.
Yeah. Okay. No, yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any questions? Okay, so the main thing for me is, guys, is teams. I've invested a lot in this and a lot of time. So you won't see all of these because I've got every single one, but you should have been invited to xBrat Vic. In xBrat Vic, there are stock options and xBrat stocks predator channels. So Vic's going to start to put in some from the scans, some ideas with options. If you've got any questions in there, he will answer them. I will answer them. And this is where we're going to have our support, our nucleus. When we start the subscription model for this in December, when my book comes out, this is where all the support will be. You need to invest. If you want constant contact and constant support, you need to get teams. Yeah. It's easier to do it and it's faster to get response. So I have people that look after my email account, okay, because I am not joking. Sometimes I get 400 emails a day. I just can't go through it all. So those people are quite, there's 2 people, and sometimes they will not necessarily discount, or they will just miss something and not, we use something called Hiver and they won't get it to me. So just be aware that email is not the best way to get constant contact. The best way is to get to Teams. Okay, we need that ability to be able to support you. And email nowadays is nuts because you've got to remember we have over 20,000 customers around the world. Okay. And my email box can look extremely busy and I can't get to everybody. It's impossible. So this is the way to do it. Okay. So unless there's any more questions, I'm going to leave this chat and then we'll get the video up and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, Paul, when you're done, if you want to stay on here or go, I have a quick question on the ambassador stuff I want to ask you.
Yeah, I'll send you I'll start the call with you in a second.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Cheers.
minutes.